Okay, well, we're pleased to have Jayne Brand here, and I mentioned last week that this month we're taking a look at the city, the school district, and the county to determine how they're run. And they're big organizations, and I think everybody was amazed last week when we found out the payroll for the school district was 240 checks. So that was bigger than what I at least thought, and we'll find out, I think, what it is from the city today. And Jayne is a Prescott lifer, okay? And I don't know how many years you've been with the city, but probably the last 5 or 6 or 7 as a city administrator. So with that, everybody, I think everybody in the room knows here, so I won't go into any other.
All right. So I do have a little bit of just kind of, not really a PowerPoint, but lots of information. My contract could really be giving this presentation probably better than I could, having been there. So just kind of a little bit of our organizational chart, kind of how the city all comes together. So, of course, we have 4,207 actual bosses in the city of Prescott, because that's kind of where our population is at. Our council, we have a strong council, weak mayor type of system for the city. So really, as a council member in a meeting, you have almost more authority because you have voting power, where the mayor only has voting power if there is actually a tie. He doesn't vote, or the mayor doesn't vote unless there's actually a tie. It consists of 6 council members, 3 at large, so 3 cover the entire city, and then we have 3 that are made up of alderpersons. So you have 4 people that you can call, and actually you can call anybody on the city council if you ever have any issues. Followed by the mayor. Actually, I'm under the mayor as the city administrator. We also have a municipal judge and a municipal clerk. So any of the tickets that are written in the city of Prescott, or at least most of them, unless they're like the alcohol ones, OWIs, and that second offenses, they're all written to the county. Otherwise, pretty much everything goes to our municipal court. The library is also under the city council. They're the library board, and they are actually the ones who run the library. So they have all control over all the money, all of the hiring, firing, discipline under the library. Then actually under me, right now we have a deputy clerk treasurer is what we have. We have 2 supervisors in our public works department. One who handles the parks and the streets, kind of everything else that's out there, and then the other one who handles the water, sewer, and stormwater. The police department, although I'm in the middle there, the chief of police actually reports to the mayor. I'm on the day-to-day. When there's an issue day-to-day, it's reported to me, and I usually have to report back to the mayor if it's something. Underneath the police department, there's also the police commission, and they are the ones who are responsible for all the hiring, fire, and discipline in the police department. Our fire EMS, we contract services with our EMS with the city of River Falls, which has worked out really well. With that, we are part of an association with the town of Oak Grove, town of Clifton, and the city of Prescott. And so they are the ones that actually have the authority over the fire and EMS department. The city clerk and the zoning administrator, I have kind of taken that position right now, but we also have a building inspector who is under that, and all of the workers kind of fall in down below all of that. So, any questions on the organization of the city? Okay, like I said, this is new to me, so. All right, and where the real work comes about is we have a lot of committees and commissions. So our planning commission, mayor, one of the council people serve on our commission, the building inspector. The rest of them are all residents of the city of Prescott. Planning commission actually handles, like it says, all the planning for the city of Prescott. So anything with anything commercial, industrial that comes in, new subdivisions, they are going to be the group that makes a recommendation. They can only recommend, they can't approve. They recommend to council. And if you ever want to serve on the committee, we always are looking for people to serve on committees. Some people have served a number of terms, but it's always good to get a change of new ideas coming in. So we have Planning Commission, we have our Cable Commission. There are funds that come in. Anybody who has cable in the city of Prescott, a portion of the fees come back, and the Cable Commission is actually the group who handles what's going to happen with those funds. And again, it's made up of residents of the city of Prescott, most of them, or somebody who's very interested in the cable stuff. They've done some great things getting, if you want to watch football or basketball, usually basketball live, you can watch basketball on the cable channel if you've got Comcast, so you can go there.
Yeah, see, you got Dave Hobel on there. That's not a mayoral position. That's just him wanting to be on it as a citizen.
No, he serves as that too, but he
Okay.
never goes to the meetings.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Like you had the authority too, but they only go if they call us.
Yeah.
So we do have a historical preservation. It's currently an inactive committee, but you never know, things may come back with that. Library board, I'm not sure that all the names on here are correct because they change quite often, but again, the library board is who runs the library. One person from the school district is always on our library board, so we have a connection back with the school for the library board. Actually, Penny, I think you're going to go on our library board.
I don't know that I am.
Oh, okay. One council representative also. So, well, we'll see how it goes.
We'll see.
Yeah.
There was somebody else that wanted to be on it, so
Oh,
I
okay.
said if they want to be on it, they can.
All right,
I will,
so.
next time there's an opening, I will.
We also have a tree board, which is currently inactive, but again, these are always boards that can be reactivated when we have something come up. Our police commission is made up of all residents of the city of Prescott. Not the city administrator nor the mayor serve on that committee. They do all the hiring, firing, discipline, again, for the police department. Right now, the people that, and I think they're really good, the people who are on there all have some type of experience with police departments. We have 2 retired officers, one from Minneapolis, one from St. Paul. We have a gentleman who works with the state of Minnesota, knows the ins and outs of how state government works. Sherry actually worked at our police department for a number of years, so she can tell you what goes on in that office. And Neil, he deals with a lot of rut guns and things like that, so he can really deal with that. So very good group. They kind of meet just as needed. So we have a new officer coming on. So they just actually had done a couple of rounds of interviews. So we do have a new officer coming in. Our board review, that's basically if you have an issue with your assessment, not actually your taxes, because your taxes are off the mill rate, but if you have an issue with your assessment, that's made up of council members, and you can meet before them. We very rarely have anybody that comes to the board review, except for one time when we did a reassessment and you were there till 2 o'clock in the morning.
We were.
Yep, 2 o'clock in the morning. It would have been me, I would have said, let's reconvene this for another time, but no, they just kept on going. So, but usually there's not very many that happen. Our assessors usually can figure it out there. Zoning Board of Appeals, this again is made up of all residents of the city of Prescott. They come and they're the ones that look at variances, conditional uses, everything along that line. So they get a little bit of training, but mostly we have manuals that they follow that they can get all of their information from. So this is a quasi-judicial. This one and the police commission, if you have a dispute or if something's not settled, you have to go to circuit court. So that's your appeals process, is to actually circuit court. So the rest of them goes to council, basically. Our Industrial and Economic Committee, we haven't met for a while, but I think we're going to have to. We have a lot going. This is, again, a group of residents from the city of Prescott. We get the Chamber of Commerce in there. We get Pierce County Economic. And when there's issues that are coming up with new things that are coming into Prescott, or we want to get some ideas from them. We meet with the group to kind of get some ideas. A lot of times this is done in closed session because it's somebody who's coming to look at doing some type of development in Prescott, and so they get the heads up right away of what's going on. And then, of course, our council, and then they all have committees. So the mayor can run a pretty fast council meeting, and that's because all the work has been done in the committee meetings. So if you ever want to be on an agenda, we try to get you to a committee first. They'll take the time to go through a lot of discussion. By the time it gets to council, pretty much everything is hashed out already there, unless there are some real questions. Committees can only recommend, they can never approve anything, so everything has to come to council from a committee. A lot of times, they get into committee, they never come to council. Things get solved at a committee level and they never come to council. So, representation, again, we are on a couple of other boards. We're on the Friends of Freedom Park Board and the Industrial Board, the Library Board, Community Rec. So we also serve there. And then besides that, we need other help. We need our city engineer, our city attorney, our court attorney. We need a building inspector. We need assessors. Animal control. So we have somebody we hire actually for animal control. Most of the time the officers get the animals up to the police department. Hopefully we can keep them in a cage for a little while, but we can't keep them too long, and so we have to actually hire somebody to come and take the animal that's got the authority to take it. So there's a lot of different moving pieces within the city. We have a financial advisor, we have auditors, and the last one, this is actually run, our Prescott Housing Authority is actually run by the River Falls Housing Authority. So as you can see, we've taken a lot of things and we're working together with other communities, because that's what we're getting from the state, is work together, work with other communities on different things. So River Falls handles our Prescott Housing Authority. So
Tell us what the Housing Authority does.
So the Housing Authority, right now they have the 2 apartments, the St. Croix Manor and the, I can't think what the other one is called up there. They have the 2 housing authorities up there. So those are income-based housing, and they take care of everything. All the maintenance, they make sure the rents are collected. They will do everything along that lines. The Housing Authority, one of the things that we like, and we've talked about it, is there's some extra room just past the manor, it's the manor and the Housing Authority. The water tower apartment, thank you. Past there is some additional room up there. We've talked about, is it time for us to take on and try to get some more additional senior housing in up there, something a little bit different. The problem is it comes to a funding issue. We got to have the money up front, and we don't right now have that funding up front. But this group can actually, they can borrow on their own, is what can happen. So maybe the land is something that they can use to get the money down, and it's a 50-year loan.
Is that something that any state or federal grants can be written for?
Yeah, I'm sure there is different things. We just have started to explore all possibilities of what we can do, and that was one of them that kind of has come up recently as to looking at that area there. So, and again, this is a group of residents of the city of Prescott, but the River Falls Housing Authority has the thing with that. So, all right. So here we get into the meat and potatoes of what it actually takes to run the city. It's a little scary at times. This is our last audit report. From our audit report, we have our governmental activities, and then we have our business activities. Our business activities are utilities. Utilities have to stand on their own. So water, sewer, storm has to generate their own revenue. There is no revenue that comes from the tax at all to run any of the utilities. So as you can see, this just happened to be a year in 2018 where we still call it the honeymoon phase. Sometimes when you're new in a position and you know that you want to get some equipment and you know it needs to be there, the council still kind of will listen to you. And so maybe you'll get a piece of equipment that you didn't think that you were going to get. So having a couple of new guys on there were a couple pieces of equipment that the council agreed to go ahead and purchase for them. We did expand a building out there also, but that was kind of a little bit more in our capital. But normally it is our public safety. This is just the police department. So the budget for the police department is 1.3 million.
We'll be read from here, so.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I think I expanded a little bit, maybe a little bit too much.
There you go.
That's better. So yeah, so police department, they're our biggest. Right now they're at 1.3 million. We collect a little over 4 million in property taxes. So kind of the things we always try to seek grants. This year, this was a grant for a road project that we had done, so we had grants in there. So, and we always try to come out even. We like to come out even. We're just a little bit ahead again from our net position from the year before. So that's kind of where we're looking at there.
Does the state rebate any money to you for anything?
So the things that we get is, let's see, that we get, here's where it says the intergovernmental, 411,000. That's our shared revenue, general transportation aids, computer aid. So that's what we get back from the state. So
Franz, that's the equivalent of, I think in Minnesota they call it the LGA, the local government assistance. That's something that is, from what I remember, Jayne,
Yep.
correctly, but it's something where if you're talking to people in Milwaukee and Madison and Green Bay, they, generally speaking, they're wondering why that money goes out to the outlying area.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
if you're talking to people in Prescott or Webster or, you know, that helps with infrastructure. You know, that's the thing. It helps keep the outstate alive, is what it does. It's, you know, people in the cities will say, why are we giving some of our money to the outstate? Well, if they ever want to drive up to Webster, they'd like to see, you know, something there. It's really an issue now because of how the outlying country it's drying up. You know,
Oh, right,
the young
exactly.
people are moving out and stuff. So that number there, that was something that I can't remember who the governor was at the time, but there was some impetus there to cut that significantly. And I don't know how it ended up, you know, but it definitely was a bone of contention with us.
Right.
It sure helps us out if you
It
look at
does.
that budget. That, I don't know, you know, not to horn on you at all, Jayne, but a lot of times when you see like the school budget, when you see what the school budget is, it's huge because, I mean, it's just a lot more money than us. But if you look at what the operating budget is for the city of Prescott, you know, you're looking at basically like $4.5 million, you know. That's, I mean, granted, it's $4.5 million, but for a city, it's really not that much money. So if you run into an issue like with a lawsuit or with, or keeping up Highway 10
Oh, yeah.
in the paper this week, you know, that could really crimp on other things that you got. You might not be able to hire a cop or public works guys because that's not that much of a budget. You know, there really isn't what
Right.
you're trying to do. For you guys to operate the city on that type of budget, I don't think people know how tough that is.
right?
You know?
And the only thing that we can go up unless we go through a referendum is called net new construction.
Yeah.
Our net new construction for 2020 is going to be 1.2%, which amounts to $26,000. So here's our problem. Our EMS is going to go up almost $40,000. We have $26,000 that we can raise taxes. Now we have to figure out where is that other money going to come from.
Yeah, you're going to have increased medical costs and
We do,
insurance costs. And,
yep,
you know,
we do. We have increased medical costs, and you know, I do want to give everybody a little bit of a raise. You know, everybody does a really good job, and so you've got to put all that into play.
Yeah.
You know, to come out with where you're going to try to figure to come up with stuff. So when you get something from the state that says, okay, now you're going to take care of the highway, I'm like, where is that money coming from?
Yeah.
Tell me how that's going to happen. You know, because we just don't have it. So, so that's what we do. We think outside the box. We have to reevaluate, you know, all of our positions, look at all of our positions and decide, you know, are we filling our positions correctly? Do we have enough staff, not enough staff? Where are we going to make cuts? What are we going to do? Those are the things that we're looking at there. So.
The state limits how much you can raise taxes to?
Yes, your net new construction, so it's whatever you had for new houses and improvements. And so we have to keep track of that every month. We go into the state and we have to put in what we had for new houses and what we had for any type of remodeling costs. And then from there, our assessors come back, and anything that's remodeling, they have to determine if it was repair or maintenance or if it had added value to it. If it had added value, that gets put into it. The net new construction is $4,400,000 approximately of net new construction, because I keep track of it on a monthly basis myself. Right now, we're just a little over $3 million in net new houses and remodels as of the end of September. So I'm not happy that I don't think we're going to have a large increase in 2020 either. So
Nothing for inflation. Good.
There's something else called expenditure restraint.
Oh,
This
yeah.
just drives me crazy because I don't understand how it comes. So with expenditure restraint, if you take the amount that you spent in your budget, take the net new construction, and then you have to take the inflation. And if your budget can stay under that, then you get what they call an expenditure restraint. So ours right now for the city is about $60,000. So we try to stay with the net new construction so we can get that $60,000 so we don't have to tax people for that. But yeah, it gets really complicated with all the numbers that you got to put in order to get to it.
You talked about new construction, how far out, I'm trying to think of what the development is out past.
Great Rivers?
Johnson Construction.
Yep.
What's that?
Great River subdivision?
Is that what that's called
Yep.
up there? I see a lot of new construction, is that part of?
That is Prescott. They actually,
Because I've been so told from so many people there aren't any lots in Prescott, hardly any
well,
left.
they're not developed.
Yeah,
That's
there aren't
the problem.
developed. Yeah,
Correct.
and nobody's built on them yet. Yeah, I
But
see a
they don't
couple.
even have water and sewer into them yet.
Okay.
So they were just in and talked to the mayor and I. They're going to try to open up another 40 new lots is what they're looking at. But as a developer, they have to put in the water, the sewer, the roads, the stormwater. So they're going to have costs associated with that. So they're trying to pre-sell their lots, or what they're trying to do, so they can get
So
that
at the
money.
end of Ash Street, there was a house torn down, but
Yes,
that supposedly is a lot of
that
buildable
too.
land back there?
Well, that's a lot of ravine.
Okay.
I mean, there is a group that has that. They've been in too to talk to us, but again, they're in the same situation.
There's no plumbing or,
There's no water, there's no sewer, there's no storm. That is
so if
huge.
there's a lot on the main street, they have access to it.
Yeah, we have some vacant lot infill, so like the Joy Lutheran, up behind Joy Lutheran
Yeah.
back there, that's infill. And so there's water and sewer that runs into
Yeah.
that subdivision, but not through the entire lot. So anybody who's looking at that is going to have to put in all the water, sewer, storm, everything into there. And believe me, it's not cheap.
Well, I noticed that on Monroe Street, like a block from Jefferson, there's a lot for sale there, but it's pretty good size, and I don't know if that has.
I can tell you it's got rock and there's rock in it. That's why nobody's purchased it for a number of years. You'd have to do a slab on grade, and it's going to be pretty tough to get your utilities into it. The utilities are stubbed to the curb stop, yep, but then you got to get it in. But
Those two pros to the river.
it's a lot of rock. That's why it hasn't been built on. So.
Jen, I gotta ask you, so you're looking at the numbers and the potential revenue, is there any, I know in the past, and I think talking to Dave and yourself, there was an attempt being made to make it so that we could add a city sales tax.
Well,
But we have to be amongst the few that are,
It's-
tourist
okay.
cities.
yeah, so it's called the Premier Resort Tax.
Yep.
And we are actually, so we were down there 2 years ago and it got into committee. That's as far as it got. The
Yep.
mayor and I went down and testified at committee. It's actually gotten through 2 committees already.
Okay.
And so they're trying to push us. But the problem is, there's us, there's Pepin, there's Toma, there's like 5 others. So all the legislators are saying, why do we have this? Everybody wants an exception to it. So I don't know if we're going to get any further with it. So we had the legislators here on Monday night. Representative Petrick and Senator Smith were here, and we kind of just addressed a number of issues with them. And that was one of them. They think they can get it out of committee and to the floor. But again, they don't think they can get past the floor because there's so many other communities who want the same thing. So we just said, then why don't you let everybody just do a 0.5% sales tax that wants to do it? That was one of our suggestions. So they said they had been thinking about trying to bring that forward.
It seems like the legislators in Madison, they want to dictate to the locals what they can't do. That
Right.
you're not going to raise taxes, you're not going to do this. They don't want to put the control in the city's hands, so they want to limit
Yep.
what you can raise taxes, and they want to also, and I'm talking they, not all of them, but
Yeah.
a majority of them, obviously, because they haven't passed anything.
Right.
But what they want to do is they want to make it so that you guys don't have control.
Right, exactly.
And it always bothered me because you guys have a better feel for the city than some legislator out of nowhere.
That was the speed limit thing.
Yeah,
They're
same thing.
denying us on
Yeah.
the speed limit
I
thing.
know.
But we don't know, because we don't know our community well enough to say, oh, we need to be at 45 miles an hour or 35 miles an hour. But let's do a study and do this and spend a lot of money on it first, and then we'll turn you down.
Yeah.
Or, send a resolution out and try to get with
Yeah.
them. And so that was another.
And not only do they limit what you can tax, but they also at times come down with mandates that will increase your operating expense. And that makes it really tough.
Wastewater.
You run into that, Tom, I'm sure you guys ran into that at the school. There's all sorts of mandates coming down and there's no way to cover that
Yeah.
money-wise.
Wastewater's the worst.
Yeah.
So now there's this new PFAS, I think is what it's called, and it's for wastewater. And then also we're having to test every quarter now because everybody has a water softener, and so all of the salts are getting into our wastewater. So now for another, whatever, $150 a quarter, we have to test for the amount of salt that's in our wastewater. So don't even get me going on that one. But anyway, I'll just keep going quick here. So this is kind of where our money comes from. Most of our money comes from, as we say, real estate taxes. We have charges for services or building permits, licenses, small things like that. Grants, capital operating. Here's our intergovernmental, 7.1%. And we try to get some investment money on our, what we have. We always collect the first half of taxes, and then we put it in the bank so we can collect the interest off of it, rather than let the county collect the first half of taxes and let them get the interest off of it. So we try to collect it. It's a little bit of work, but you know what? We feel we get enough investment off of it. So, and kind of here is where the businesses come. These are all of the utilities that we get charged for. That's where all the money comes from. We have some miscellaneous revenue. We lease out our water towers to the cell phone companies, and so they pay for that. Again, a little bit of interest money, a few grants, contributions there. So, just kind of keep track of all the different accounts that we have. We have a number of different banks that we have because you have limits and everything, and that we can only go so far. But kind of just give you an idea of where our money is. This is actually the one that we did for the end of, what was she got there? She got June, but it should be July or August, I think is the one here. So we do carry cash. There were some really good things made when Elizabeth Freed was here for our city administrator. She really got us into making sure we had a good fund balance. That was one of the things. But we keep track of every one of these as a separate project, or everyone has their own separate line items. They get their own revenues, they get their own expenses, and we have to keep track of all of that. The wastewater looks a little high here at the $2 million, but that would never replace, that would be a drop in the bucket to replace a wastewater treatment plant. It's over $10 million to even start thinking about. So we try to keep up with all the technology for our wastewater. We know we have to do some stuff in a water tower this year, 2020, $400,000 to clean the inside and outside of the water tower, have an inspection so we can have somebody sign it off and make sure the DNR gets a copy of it. So it gets off of our list of things to do. So that's kind of a little bit of what we have. Capital projects is in a negative quite a bit. We're waiting for some grant money, so hopefully we'll get that. And we had to make the first payment, the city had to make the payment on the water, or on the fire truck. And so we made the first payment on that. So that's why fire's in a negative right now. But we work with them. I mean, there's actually money allocated. The only problem is that with our auditors, you can only transfer things out of our fund balance at the end of the year. They don't want you to transfer it throughout the year. Now, that's a new thing, only transfer it. So we keep track of everything on a separate spreadsheet, so we have it. But if we're really showing council the true picture, we have to show them where we're at negative. So, yeah, even Beth put a little that we had to pay for that. So we do own a little bit of property, and so in our lands we have about a little over 3 million. In our buildings we have a little bit over 5 million. Infrastructure, that's all our water, sewer, storm, everything along that line. Our machinery, a little over 2 million. And then of course the wastewater treatment plant, water towers, all of the water, or all the pipe in the ground. So anytime we do a new street, we have to take depreciation, so we have to take what the old stuff came out, had a value on that, new stuff goes in, have a value on that, so we can actually get what we have for assets. So we're worth a little bit of money. I don't know who would buy the city for that amount of money though. Okay, so this was one of the things that we were really talking about. We do what we call, I was just mentioning Elizabeth Free, she had really gotten us into a good spot with our fund balances. So we do what we call intergovernmental or inter-fund borrowing. So right now, our TIF district at one point needed some money, so we borrowed, this is the balance that we have left, we borrow the TIF money and the general fund covers it. So at some point in time, we're going to come back in. Our fund balance is going to be $1.7 million more than we have right now. This is really good because like we're going to do a $700,000 street project. We're not going to go out and borrow for that $700,000 street project. We're going to pay the money right out of our fund balance. We borrowed to, let's just say like the water. We redid all of the water meters, and so water didn't have the money. But like we even pay ourselves back with a little bit of interest even. So if you borrow from yourself, you gotta pay yourself back. So let's see what else. Long-term debt, oh yes, we do have some debt. So we're just a little bit, 7.7 million worth of debt right now.
What are you limited to on that, Jane, as far as percentage of what the city is worth? How much
yeah,
can
you
you
were gonna
borrow?
ask that, Mike.
Is it like 12%? Is that what it was?
Yeah, 12% is the, yeah, probably right around there.
So the value of all the assets in the city,
Yeah.
any idea how many 100 million that is now?
Yeah, I don't, but I think we probably have another 8 million that we could actually borrow. So, and we probably will have to do a little borrowing this year, but yes, we do have debt. We do pay our debt back. We have to always tell them what we're thinking about doing too. Look, fire truck, 1.5 million for 2 fire trucks. That gets me a little scared too. All right, and then just a little bit of, this is kind of how our budgets are broken down. So the mayor, the council have their own line item, mayor, everybody has their own line item. You have how your money comes in and how your money goes back out. And I think we did pretty good this year. We always had one council member who was very excited if we always had a lot of money left over. It's like, no, we're supposed to break even. We're not supposed to have a lot of money left over. So I think we did pretty good in 2018 because we wound up with $15,000 left over after all of that budgeting you put together, and that's kind of, I thought we did pretty dang good. But of course the department heads watch their budget towards the end of the year. If they see they might have a little bit money left, I think they purchase a few things, so that's kind of how it goes. So anyway, that's kind of how the city works, but any quick questions?
The bell's about to ring.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Larry, what was your quick question?
Yes, when the question was asked about changing taxes, you talked about assessed value and new construction, but
Yep.
is it easy for the city to change those mill rates?
The mill rates come off of the budgets. So all of the budgets from all the taxing jurisdictions, they come together and then it's divided against what our equalized value is, and that's how you come up with your mill rate's gonna be, so.
So no on the arbitrary change?
No, well, it depends on what you're allowed to go up on your mill rate, so, you know, if we're only allowed to go up 27,000, our mill rate's not gonna go up a lot. I think that I saw the school district today went up 6.9, 2% in their budget, so we'll have to see how it reflects in their mill rate. I don't know that it will or not, so.
I have a question. Are the city council positions paid positions?
Yeah, what do they get? $315 a month, I think?
Really?
Mayor gets $600 a month. So the judge is the highest paid at $1,000 a month. So, not for the amount of hours they put in. They're not very well paid, volunteers.
Some people have to get back to
Yes,
work,
not a problem.
but you may stay for
Yeah, sure,
questions.
yeah,
if you
not a
want.
problem if anybody has any.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thank you.